Every single day, 89 people move to the greater Nashville area from all across the country. Why is that? So today we are going to cover pros and cons, the top 5 pros and the top 5 cons of why people are relocating to the greater Nashville, Middle Tennessee area. Hi, I'm Mitzi Dela Cruz with the Nashville Dream Homes and Living team. And if this is your first time to my channel, we are here to help you decide whether or not greater Nashville area is right for you and help you to learn more about the areas in and around the Nashville market. Today, we are going to cover the top 5 reasons people are moving to greater Nashville area and the top 5 reasons why people should not move to the greater Nashville area. So topping our list today for pros is the booming economic climate of the greater Nashville area. So we have seen such an expansive growth in several different sectors in the greater Nashville area, including education, healthcare. There's obviously the music industry, which is the backbone of Nashville historically, but really a lot of different sectors have grown in the last 10 to 15 years that have brought a lot of different industries here. And so we're not just seeing more jobs in the music and entertainment industry, but now we're seeing a lot more people are relocating because of the exceptional business climate that we have here in Middle Tennessee. We have no state taxes. There are a lot of different corporate breaks for corporations and things of that nature. So a lot of companies that were headquartered in other states are actually moving out here to the greater Nashville area, and that is causing an explosion of job opportunities for people in and around the greater Nashville area. Now, the number 2 reason that people are moving here, and one of the pros of moving to the greater Nashville area, is the vibrant music and art culture scene. We have such an emphasis on live music and the performing arts that a lot of people move here to experience just having that as a cornerstone of their lives. So it really does improve the quality of life for people in and around the greater Nashville area. You can visit various cities in Middle Tennessee, different times of the week, and experience that live music. You can find street performers. You can just, I mean, I'll give you a quick story. So when my family and I came out here back in 2020 for the first time, we were on Broadway, which I will tell you, if you live here, you probably don't really go to Broadway often in Nashville. It's just a place that we go when we've got friends and family in the area, or people are coming here to house hunt. Obviously, it's one of those things you gotta do while you're in town. However, when we were here in 2020, we were exploring Broadway, and we were so shocked to see there was a live band performing inside of Taco Bell on a Tuesday afternoon. So that was pretty cool. We just love the fact that the Middle Tennessee area does offer so many options for live music, for arts and entertainment. There's a vibrant cultural scene here. There's many different cultures represented. There are a lot of different ways that you can tap into the history of the area. There's museums, and really there's just something for everyone. So that is one of the pros that brings people to our area and allows people to really embrace the culture here in Middle Tennessee. Now, our third pro today has to do with the cost of living. There are still affordable homes that are out there. And that is one of the reasons why people love to call the Middle Tennessee area home. Of those 89 people that are moving to the area every single day, only a fraction of them will actually end up in the greater Nashville area. Most people will end up in an area in and around Nashville. And we get reach outs from buyers every single day who who are looking to be just within an hour of Nashville because maybe they need to work, they need to have access to the airport, or some other reason that keeps them central to a large city. But we have so many other areas, even within an hour drive of Nashville. You've got Murfreesboro, you've got Clarksville if you need that larger city, and several other cities in and around the greater Nashville area. So you can still be within an hour of Nashville if you need to get to the airport, but you still have the ability to have that city feel. Or even if you're looking for a community where you actually have more space, less people, less traffic and congestion, you can achieve that. You're gonna see a lower cost of living in and around those places as well. And one of the things to be aware of too is that every single county in and around the Middle Tennessee area and across the state has their own property tax base rate. So you're gonna see a lot of variation. For example, if you're looking at Davidson County recently, within the last few years, has undergone a huge tax hike. So as far as homes that are within Davidson County, which is Nashville, there's a small portion of other towns that also have a part of that city that falls within Davidson County, such as Brentwood, Mount Juliet, and a couple others. But all in all, we're talking Nashville. There was a huge tax spike that happened just a few years ago, and there's other counties that are also following suit. We've seen tax increases in Williamson County as well, and part of that is just due to the additional infrastructure that is needed to support all of the people that are moving to Nashville on a daily basis. So all that to say, there are still affordable options, and for a lot of people, homeownership is within reach here in Middle Tennessee and some of the states that we're seeing a lot of people coming into the area from have a lot of complications when it comes to expenses that make homeownership just out of reach. So number 3 on our list is affordability. Okay, so number 4 on our list of pros of moving to the greater Nashville area is the quality of life and the community vibe. So one of the things that we really love about Middle Tennessee is that you have such an awesome opportunity for outdoor living. We love to get out and be in nature, feel the sun on our face. That's just one of the things that we enjoy as a family. You've got Old Hickory Lake, you've got Percy Priest Lake just north of Nashville, and a lot of great options for fishing, kayaking, swimming, camping, a lot of different things that you can do as a result. You've got the Cumberland River that runs right through Nashville, and then also the West Harpeth, which is a beautiful river. We actually have friends that have a boating venue as well as a music venue out on the West Harpeth, and so it's been really, really fun to watch their business grow and thrive as the result of so many people that love to get out and kayak and just tube, go down the river, spend a lot of time out enjoying the outdoor elements. So also to the south of us, we have the Buffalo River. We've got the Tennessee River as well, and the Duck River in Columbia that runs. It is actually the longest river in Tennessee that starts and stops in Tennessee, and the most diverse as far as the wildlife that is supported by the Duck River. So a lot of different options in and around the area for getting out and enjoying the water and the great outdoors different times of the year. In addition to the community vibe, when we discuss what that looks like for different communities, there are a variety of different festivals that occur throughout the year. There are a lot of downtown and square situations that exist all throughout the Middle Tennessee area. So a lot of towns do have those great downtown meeting points, and a lot of towns have a great focus on having community events to bring people together, allow people to get to know their neighbors, and just really get people out and about and supporting small business. So that is a really big push. We have a very strong economic development focus here in Middle Tennessee, and the support from the chambers of commerce in different areas is very, very important to the business climate. So we're seeing quite a bit of growth that's happening in the business sector as a result of the support that small business is getting from the Chamber of Commerce, and that all impacts the quality of life that is experienced by the people here in Middle Tennessee that have been here for years, as well as new people that are moving into the volunteer state on a daily basis. So number 5 on our list of pros for people moving to the greater Nashville area is that there is a huge focus right now on improving the infrastructure in the area. So Middle Tennessee experienced such a huge growth explosion that really happened just right around the COVID era and has continued since then. So we're talking, early 2020s through now. And because of that, the municipalities have really had to look at the impact to infrastructure, the roadways, the water, sewer, the electric grid, things of that nature, and really get intentional with making improvements to accommodate that growth. It's certainly not a perfect science. That is one of the things that we're going to also cover in the cons in regards to this. But for example, we've seen some different ways of handling growth in different areas that have old infrastructure, like some old sewer systems, for example. When you're looking at homes, you guys may see in the front of new builds, there'll be a couple green lids in the front of the house. Those are indicative of what's called a step system, which is not common throughout the entire country. You may or may not be familiar. I was not familiar before moving here, but what that is instead of, for example, the city of Murfreesboro having to redo their entire sewer system to accommodate for the growth and the exponential growth that happens so fast, they were able to shift gears and utilize the step system. So essentially there's like a miniature sewer, or rather septic system, in the front yard. It is maintained and serviced by the city, but it is there to act as a grinder of sorts. It takes care of waste. It sends it to the city sewer. So that was a way that the city could get ahead of any potential issues, as opposed to not addressing the issue and then having a bigger problem down the line. So there are a lot of smart people that are in the right positions within the municipalities and government here in Middle Tennessee that are forward thinkers and doing what they can do to help relieve the strain to the infrastructure from the standpoint of trying to take care of accommodating all of the growth that's happening right now in the Middle Tennessee area as smartly as possible. So number 1 on our list of cons of why people may not want to choose Middle Tennessee as their new home is that we do have a lot of traffic here. So really, depending on where you end up deciding to call home, you are going to see a lot of traffic. For example, one of our homes are in Columbia. And so as we're traveling south on Highway 65, the highway actually loses a lane right before June Lake Boulevard. So as you're going south all of the lanes merged down from 3 lanes to 2 lanes. Don't ask me why, it seems very silly, but you always see a slowdown there and a lot of congestion, no matter whether it is rush hour or regardless of whether or not it is a lighter time of day. Traffic-wise, there's almost always that bottleneck that happens as a result of the merging of the lanes. So I'm sure this is something that'll probably be addressed at some point down the line. There's certainly the room on either side of the highway to continue that lane, but at this point, it narrows down to 2 lanes. So again, this is something that was designed prior to this big population explosion in the Middle Tennessee area, and something that will, like I said, likely be addressed in the future. So in addition, we do have quite a few other bottlenecks in different areas that have a lot of heavy traffic. For example, if you're traveling east on 24 out of Nashville towards Murfreesboro, that area is almost always congested. But in contrast, if you look at the 840, which runs east and west, and it's just south of Franklin, the 840 is almost never congested with traffic. So it's always moving pretty well, depending on, any time of day or the evening. And so it's been very, very, very rare that I've ever been caught on the 840 and actually experienced that heavy flow of traffic. And realistically, depending on where in the country you live now, if you are relocating from outside of the area, it's really all relative. You may come from an area that, it takes you an hour to go 2 miles on a regular basis, and you might get out here and say, this traffic is a breeze. We expect traffic. Whenever there's rush hour, there's going to be traffic, and we just expect it. So you may not even be bothered by that. But if you're someone who comes from an area that doesn't have that traffic, you might get out here and just be, overwhelmed with the traffic and feel like that this is a very heavily trafficked area. And then for the folks that have been here for a long time, they're certainly noticing the increase in traffic that has happened over the last several years. So again, it's all relative. It depends on where you're from, what you're used to, and really what you consider to be heavy traffic. But number one on the list, and one of the complaints that I hear from on a regular basis, is the traffic. So keep that in mind if that is something that is important to you. I will say, a lot of times when I lived in the Sacramento area, I would just take back roads to avoid the heavy traffic area. Here, there are some back roads you can take, but a lot of the towns are a little disjointed in that there may not be those back roads that are always available for you to go and avoid that traffic. So it really just depends on where you live and where you have to go every day. So keep in mind, again, if traffic is important to you, reach out. Let's do a buyer consultation. Let's find out where you're thinking of settling and where you have to drive to every day. And then I will help you understand those traffic patterns, because I am very familiar with where we're seeing the bottlenecks, what time of the day we're seeing the bottlenecks, and what you can do to avoid that traffic, if anything. So there are some different things, and Nashville is not set up for mass public transportation right now in the surrounding areas of Nashville in most places. So I can help you identify if that is something that is important to you, where you can take advantage of different public transportation options, and where they just don't exist. Okay, so number 2 on our list of cons of reasons why Nashville may not be right for you is the increasing cost of living. So I mentioned earlier in this video that Nashville is still pretty affordable, especially when you're looking at other major metropolises and some of the other states that people are flocking to for different reasons. And one of the things that you'll see is that there are quite a few places that are still very affordable, but there are also places which were historically affordable that we're seeing such a huge increase in population that it is driving up the cost, and there's such a demand that we've seen a lot of increase in the expense of homes over the last 5 years or more. So that is really impacting affordability in the area. I was recently attending a class in Williamson County for real estate agents in the area, and one of the things that they did cover was that it is hard for city workers right now to purchase a home in their own city when you're looking at some of the areas like Franklin, for example, Thompson Station. You know, affordability can be an issue if you're living on an income that is supported by government jobs such as, you know, a postal worker, a police officer, that type of thing. So that is something that is important to look at as far as the increased cost of living. But one of the great things is if you want to be in and around the greater Nashville area, we can definitely help you find an area that is still going to meet your needs as far as what you're looking for in your community while keeping those costs down, because again, there are pockets in and around the area and we can help you identify those pockets. But if you're just looking at what pricing has done over the last 5 years, even 10 years, there has been such an increase of people that are moving here that we have seen this very steady increase in the cost of living that has spiked over the last few years. In fact, I was just looking at a power bill, which I'll share with you in another video, that looking at the contrast of what I was paying last year compared to this year, and there was such a huge increase in the cost of my power bill in my Columbia home that I was just shocked that it just seemed to happen overnight. And it's been something that the whole town has been talking about, and obviously that's happening because there's more people that are moving to the area. There's more of a strain on the electric grid, the infrastructure. It costs more in 2025 than in years historic. So there are some definite cons that are coming with all of the people that are moving here. And so it's really important to look at affordability and really get that expert guidance on where you can make your dollar go further if that is important to you. So definitely reach out. You can schedule your one-on-one buyer consultation. My teammate and I just actually met with a gal today that's going to be moving here in the next few months. She's going to come out, she's going to house hunt this month. We've already time blocked that time for her. We went over the process of purchasing a home in Tennessee. We spent time with her to learn what her needs were, get to know her and her family, and we are just so excited to be helping her. We are doing those meetings every single day, and really, we don't care where you're at in the process. We want to get in front of what your needs are at the very beginning, help you make those plans, help you understand what's going to be the best time of year to move, what's going to be the best route to take. And maybe you need some referrals to movers, maybe you need some referrals for great local lenders. We have you covered on every single part of this whole deal of moving to Nashville and Tennessee in general. So we have you covered. Would love to help you analyze your situation and what might be right for you and your move. So definitely reach out and we can help you understand that and find those pockets that may be more what you're looking to spend. So number 3 on the reasons why Nashville may not be right for you is the weather. It is hot, it is humid, and we see that really from about June through August is typically where we experience that the most. I personally like it. I know that I'm kind of weird like that. Most people think that that is strange, including my husband, but I actually like the humidity and the heat. My hair doesn't love it, but that's okay. It's just a small price to pay. To me, it's comforting. I like that feeling. Again, I come from Sacramento. It's a very dry climate there, very different heat. It gets much hotter in Sacramento, but it does get very humid here, and so throughout those summer months, it is really sticky and hot. I don't mind it. Like I said, I really prefer it. I love to get out and go float down the river, go kayaking. I love that time of year because that's when you guys are most active, coming out, seeing me, and I'm taking you out to find the right place for you and really help you with this move. And the summer nights here are amazing. It is just a really fun place to be during the summer. So to me, it's not a con, but to you, it could be. So definitely, if that's something that bothers you, you do need to keep in mind it gets humid here. But if we're looking at some other places that also get humid, for example, Florida, Texas, some of the other states, Louisiana, down south in Louisiana, Mississippi, in relation to those places, it's not nearly as humid. So, you know, again, it's all relative. It really depends on where you come from, what you're used to, as far as whether or not that's a con for you. It may not be a con for you, but it is something to keep in mind. The other thing is we do have extreme weather. So if tornadoes are a concern to you, that is something that may make Middle Tennessee not the right place for you. I, again, am not bothered by the tornadoes. I mean, I know they happen and it's important to prepare. And so when we are having extreme weather, then I'm certainly cognizant of that and don't want to, you know, downplay the fact that it is something to prepare for and be concerned about. But I feel like for me, it's something where, you know, I have what I need to get through the storm. And we also have a basement. And I know for some homes, especially the newer homes, we're not seeing those being built with basements necessarily, but there are some standalone tornado rooms that are available too to purchase. And so a lot of people will put those in the garage if they're concerned. And there's some other things that you can do to prepare. However, that could be a deal breaker for you. And so if that is a deal breaker, just know that yes, tornadoes happen. It's not something that usually happens on a regular basis, but it could happen. So you definitely want to be prepared and you want to go ahead and reach out and we can help you to understand, you know, at least historically what we've seen as far as different areas and how they are faring as far as that extreme weather. Another thing that we experience here is snow. So as far as snow is concerned, it's one of those things that usually only happens a time or two per season. Sometimes there's a lot, sometimes there's a little. So already in 2025, we have seen a snowstorm that shut down the schools. The reason that happens is because all of the kids that are attending school, public school in Tennessee, have to have the option and the ability to be bused. So as a result, there are some kids that are located in pretty remote places. There could be back roads. And if a school bus cannot safely pass that road, then school will be shut down. So that way all kids are able to get to and from school safely. And another thing that we see is just because it snowed here does not mean that that snow won't melt quickly and then become ice. So again, that is a concern. Oftentimes what we'll see is that the snow will shut down the schools and then the schools may be shut down for a day or two after, or depending on the severity of the snow and or the ice, school may start a couple hours late that following day to give the sun time to come out and melt that ice on the roads and make things a little safer for the school buses. So it's great. The kids are getting 10 snow days per year typically, or that's what's planned for and allotted by the school district. So it's just an opportunity in the middle of winter to kind of slow down, get the kids out playing. The kids are loving sledding and just getting out there building snowmen, having snowball fights. Just enough snow to have fun with and play with, but not so much snow that you're out there having to shovel it and you're getting stuck and things like that. Although we have seen snowfall totals that have been, several feet in years past. And it really just depends. It's the exception, not the rule. And so just to give you a little bit more of what to expect, it's one of those things that we can see snowfall as early as December. We can see snowfall as late as March, but really you're gonna see that snowfall, the majority of that is gonna really be in those January, February months. And typically speaking, it's not too bad. Another thing that we see as far as weather is concerned is that we will have hard freezes from time to time throughout the winter. And so when that happens, it's just really important to weatherize your space, make sure you're leaving your faucet dripping inside your home, make sure that you're leaving your cabinet doors open in older homes, leaving the heat running so that the pipes are being warmed by the heat source for the house and those types of things. But especially with the newer homes, a lot of builders are building with temperature controlled crawl spaces. So that way you're not seeing hard freezes as being of a concern that's going to create problems with freezing pipes and water leaks and things like that. So it really is not that big of a deal. It does make it harder to grow some different fruits and vegetables here in the Middle Tennessee area because we do experience those freezing temperatures. But really, generally as a whole, we don't see a whole lot of that. The winters do get chilly, but we bundle up and we take time off and we play in the snow and we get through it. And then we have a beautiful spring right before we hit those warmer summer months. So nowhere near as much snow as what we're seeing in the northeast part of the United States, where the snowfall totals are a lot more prevalent. Okay, so next on our list, let's talk about development and gentrification. So this is one of those buzzwords that can be pretty upsetting to locals that have been here for many, many years and or generations, when you're seeing a lot of gentrification that is happening within different areas that creates an unaffordability factor for people that have been in and around an area for a long time. For example, East Nashville just recently experienced this big gentrification that happened that really turned the East Nashville area into an area that was more affordable for people, into this kind of hipster vibe where it's kind of like a trendy area to move to. And a lot of people who were renting or have lived in the area for many, many years are just simply not able to afford to live there anymore. But I really feel like that is something that is nationwide in different areas. So it is something that, if that is of concern to you, that you want to definitely keep in mind. But it's not something that would stop me from moving to an area or investing in a community, because obviously we want to make sure that while homeownership needs to be affordable for all, that we're also taking great care of the areas that we live in and preserving the history of that area for future generations. So just something to keep in mind if you are looking at calling the Middle Tennessee area home. Okay, so number 5 as far as cons of moving to the greater Nashville area in 2025 are the bugs. So again, it is cold right now. We are in the middle of winter, and so bugs are not necessarily as big of a concern right at the moment. But what we do see is that we have quite a few different species of bugs here in the area. We have different kinds of spiders in the area, and termites are a huge issue, especially if you are looking at becoming a homeowner in the area. You need to be aware that the humid conditions and the warmer temperatures make this an area that termites thrive in, and they love to make homes in this greater Nashville community their home. So we definitely want to be aware of that. We have a lot of different species of hornets. We've got those red murder hornets, and those are definitely a problem. We get the cicadas in the summer, and this last year, actually in 2024, we really had a perfect storm. We had 2 different types of cicadas that have been in the ground breeding and getting ready to surface for many years, and this last year just happened to be the time where these 2 different breeds of cicadas both came out at the same time. So it was crazy. We were literally running to our cars, and these really weird cicada looking bugs were dive bombing us, and it sounded like rattlesnakes in the trees. Like, it was crazy, but we got through it. Not a big deal. They don't hurt anything. They're just ugly. And so this year should be a lot better as far as cicadas are concerned. But we do have mosquitoes. I feel like, coming from the Sacramento area and just it being hot as long as it was in Sacramento, we had a worse problem with mosquitoes where I'm from than here. But they're definitely an issue here. And so what I love is that a lot of different homes will have those screened-in porches in the back or in the front of the home, so you can enjoy the patio or porch space year-round. But short of that, there are some other things that you can do to try to mitigate the bugs. Another problem that we have here in Middle Tennessee are the ladybugs. They're actually referred to as ladybugs. They are not your traditional ladybugs that you love to see in your garden. They're Asian ladybugs that are actually an invasive species. And what they do is they get inside your home, which is crazy because they'll actually find a different way into your home. They'll come in, they emit a pheromone, and then all these other ladybugs smell it, and so they come into your home. And so all of a sudden you've got corners of your house that have these like nests of ladybugs just congregating in the corner of the home. Obviously, if you're living there, you can see if you're starting to have an issue with ladybugs. But if you have a home that is only occupied on a short-term basis like we do, we've got a home that we rent out on Airbnb and VRBO, those types of things. So if there's not somebody in the home for a few days, we might go in and see some of the ladybugs. So we actually pay for a regular pest inspection, or pest company rather, to come out, and they're doing preventive maintenance to keep the bugs down. And so that is something that is definitely something to pay attention to. If bugs bother you, this is a prevalent area. The warm temperatures allow for different types of bugs to really thrive here. And then you've got the cute bugs, right? Like the lightning bugs, and they come out after the hard freeze. They know somehow after that last freeze to go ahead and surface, and then you have them all the way through the spring, the summer, and then into right when the temperatures start to dip. So they're fun, they're beautiful, they just light up at various times. I'm sure that many of you have experienced lightning bugs, especially if you come from a place that has them, and you see them more prevalent right around water and things like that. But they're really beautiful, and they're a great addition to the area. We love the lightning bugs, but as far as those other types of bugs, we're definitely not a fan of the ladybugs. They look exactly like the ladybugs that you want to release into your garden, but they are definitely not those ladybugs. And then the hornets, can definitely be a problem as well. So it's one of those things, if you're looking at moving to the area, we are going to have a pest company come out and do an inspection of your home, make sure that they're identifying different ways that pests can get into the home and getting those addressed, and really mitigating any issues that you may see with pests in the home. But that is one thing that you definitely want to be aware of. And we also want to keep those spiders down. We are in an area that see brown recluses. I've personally never seen a brown recluse the entire time I've been here, but again, we take preventive measures not only in our personal home, but also our investment properties, just to maintain and make sure that we're not, having issues with bugs in and around our homes. So definitely some different steps that you can take to keep those bugs down. but you definitely want to be aware. Another thing that we have here in the Middle Tennessee area that I wasn't used to, coming from being, right outside of Sacramento, is chiggers. So chiggers are these little invisible bugs, also called no-see-ums. And what they do is they live in tall grass. So especially, I've been out showing country property in the past, and of course it's summer, so I'm out there in my shorts, and all of a sudden I come home and I've got these welts that start to develop all over my legs. It was awful. I read up on chiggers, I learned all about them. Everything on the internet said, don't worry, they'll go away in 3 to 5 days. That was not my experience. Maybe I am sensitive, I don't know. But I'll tell you what, every single time after that I have gone out and shown rural property with high, tall grass, I'm always wearing pants. I'm always keeping my legs protected, because that was awful and it itched like crazy. So I certainly suggest to you that if you are looking at rural property, let's make sure that you have on the right clothes so you're not experiencing that itchy horror that is the no-see-ums and or chiggers. The other thing to keep in mind is we do get ticks. Now, ticks are common in various locations in and around the United States, so there's certainly not anything that I wasn't already familiar with. But again, it's one of those things that you want to be very careful. Ticks do carry disease, so we have our dogs on tick prevention. And we're obviously making sure that when our kids are playing in and around different places with the tall grass, that we're checking them just to make sure. So we've been here now for several years. We did have our 8-year-old ended up with a tick on her one time. So we were able to, get the tick off her before it actually attached or anything like that. But, again, it is something that you want to be aware of and just be careful about, because ticks carry disease and you certainly don't want that to be a thing. So if bugs are something that you're concerned about, you definitely want to look into the different types of bugs that are here and make sure that you feel comfortable living somewhere where those bugs exist. So it has been such a fun experience going over pros and cons with you today, and I am just really enjoying making these videos for you guys. Again, you guys know my story. My family and I relocated here a few years ago, and so I know exactly what it's like to pick up and move your entire family from one side of the country to the other, and all of the emotions and concerns and questions that go into that. So that is one of the reasons that I am a great candidate to help you with your move. I have people on my team that were born and raised right here in the Middle Tennessee area, and then I am a transplant myself, so really we married the best of both worlds to make sure that we have the local knowledge and the experience of what it's like to grow up here. Also, what it's like to pick your whole family up, move across the country, and what those differences look like. So we can really help answer your questions and help you decide whether or not this move is really right for you. It is a very big move, and there is a lot that goes into making that decision. So we really want to be here as a resource to help you decide whether or not the move is right, whether Tennessee is right, but ultimately we can help you understand the different areas and support you in your decision. The decision is obviously yours to make, and we want to put you in the right direction of those resources so that you have the education to make the decision that is right for you and your family. I'm Mitzi Dela Cruz with the Nashville Dream Homes and Living team, and if you found this video helpful, definitely like it and subscribe. You can share your experiences if you've already moved to the area, but if you are thinking about making a move to the greater Nashville area, either here soon or you're just considering whether or not it's going to be right for you, definitely reach out. We love to hear from you. People reach out all the time, and our team is designed to help people relocate into the area from all over. So we would love to help you. We'd love to get to know you and what your needs are and help you decide if this is right for you. We will see you next Saturday at 10 a.m. with another video designed specifically to help you understand the areas in and around the greater Nashville area.